to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we just found out that the song Yesterday is believed to be the most covered song in history. Man, I gotta tell you, Marvin Gaye did really come up with a hit on that one. Or wait, I mean Willie Nelson. I mean En Vogue. Ray Charles? The Beatles? Bob Dylan? Elvis Presley? Somebody wrote that song, and everyone loves it. So today, we're going to take a look at AdWizard. Now, I do realize that we just recently did a Tech Tuesday video where we covered AdWizard in detail, and that video is still going to be useful because it gets into really the nitty-gritty of AdWizard in general. But for this video, I wanted to make a more pointed version of just how to go in and create ads, and also we've made a change that I wanted to make sure to point out, so that's why I wanted to make sure that we would do just a new video to keep you up to date on where we are and where AdWizard is, more specifically for this video. So, to find it, previously it existed under Marketing and AdWizard, and you can see there is still a link here. However, you can now also get to it by just clicking Buy Ads up here in the side navigation of the DeltaNet. Now, the side navigation is customizable on a per company basis to a certain degree, so if that link is not available to you or is not available for your company, you'll probably find it under Marketing, and if not, you can always type AdWizard up here at the top into the Quick Action search bar, and you'll find a navigation result for AdWizard there as well. So in our more recent video, or rather our other recent video, because this video is going to be more recent, right? So in our other recent video, I actually go through each of the items here and just cover in detail specifically what you can do with AdWizard. But generally, you're just going to look to create a new ad, and more often than not, you're going to be looking to create a new listing ad. So first off, we click on AdWizard, we find ourselves on this page, and this lays out all of our ads here. You can see I have one that has payment required, so if I wanted to finish this one out, I could click there and go in and make my payment on it. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But generally what we'll do is just go in and click on New Ad, and I'm going to create a new listing ad. So I have a new listing, and there is an ad type for New Listing. Perfect. So we'll click on that. Now we need to find my listing, so I can either type in an MLS ID or I can type in an address. So we'll just go ahead and go with this guy here. There we go, and you can see when I select it, it populates my listing template with all of the data for that listing. Now from here, I can make some customizations. You'll see if I click on a few things, it'll highlight in red, and that indicates that I can change those. I can also drag those around, I can rotate them, so I can customize this ad a bit. But I'll leave it alone for the time being. The next thing I can do here is I can select my radius. So by default, kind of the target audience for this ad is going to be a 15-mile radius around the listing address. But I could switch that to zip codes if I like and actually define up to 3 zip codes specifically that I would like to kind of target with this ad. Next, I can choose my ad template. So by default, we have this just listed flag. We can switch to a just listed ribbon, which is going to look very similar. There we go, except there's a ribbon up here at the top instead of a flag. And then lastly, we can choose a listing carousel, which just loads up all of the listing pictures. So this is your basic look or your preview of that ad. And this would allow users that see this ad, or Facebook users that see this ad, to click the arrows and actually cycle through the photos attached to that listing. But we'll switch it back to the flag. Now for either the flag or the ribbon version, I can also select from these pictures down here, which are just images from my listing, to set as the background image. I like a good kitchen. Let's go with the kitchen. That's nice. It's a nice kitchen. So, from here, we have just kind of a representation of the fields that I already know are editable here. So, we found out that I can click on this and I can make changes to it. There we go. I can click on that and make changes to it. However, I don't have to interact with this portion of the ad at all. If I want everything to stay where it is, I don't want to make any major changes, I could just type here the headline, and that will replace the headline here. So it doesn't even have to be the address if I don't want it to be. And then this is the description, which is what I have highlighted now. Again, I can change that in either place, and it doesn't have to be beds, baths, and a price. It could be anything. Though beds, baths, and a price usually makes the most sense. So our recommendation is really to just go with the defaults. Select your listing, modify your target audience either by radius or zip code if you'd like, and the rest should be all set for you. The only time you'll need to make changes is if you do see an issue. For example, maybe the data from the MLS had the listing address spelled out in a different way. Maybe you want to abbreviate Boulevard instead of spelling it out, or vice versa. Those are the kind of changes you would typically look to make. We suggest that in part because the listings are kind of designed to perform well as, or rather these ads, templates are designed to perform well as ads. So Usually your best bet to get the most performance out of them is to just let them populate with the listing data and run with it that way instead of making customizations. That also speaks to the last field here. I can modify this if I'd like. This is where the ad will link to. So anyone who sees the ad and clicks on it, this is the page it'll take them to, and this is the listing detail page for the listing I've chosen. Again, you do have the ability to change that, but we would suggest that you don't change it, because if I'm clicking on an ad for a listing, the listing detail page is where I want to go. So once your ad's all set up here, we'll just click on Next. This takes us through to the step where we can see the estimated performance of our ad and decide how long we want our ad to run. And you'll notice that this performance does change as I change the term of my ad. So right now it's going to run from the 21st to the 23rd. Let's say I want to run it all the way to the 30th. You can see all these numbers update, as well as the cost, because the cost is a per day, so the longer I run the ad, the higher the cost will be. And at this point, the ad can only be posted to Facebook, so there's our Facebook checkbox. You'll want to leave that checked, by the way. If you uncheck that, this is just not going to know what to do. You're not going to be able to post your ad anywhere, so it's not going to do you much good. So once we have that all set, we'll click Next. So our term is all defined, so you can see we're on the review step, so that shows us what our ad will look like, gives us information about our ad. This is what it will link to. The target radius is how we defined our audience. The start date, the end date. So if that all looks good, we're going to click Finish. It's processing. There we go. And there you have it. So now on this final step, I can save this ad the way it is and go back to my home page. And that's where that payment required flag comes in. So if I do that, this will look just like the ad that you saw on my AdWizard homepage already, where I had the ability to go back in and pay for it if I want to, because I hadn't yet. So if I don't want to pay for it yet and I don't want to run it yet, I can just save and return home. Alternatively, if I have a payment profile set up already, I can just pay and it will use the payment method that I have on file through my payment profile and pay for the ad that way. And then my last option is, even if I don't have a stored payment information or a stored payment profile, I can still click here and I can make just a one-time payment. So it'll just pop up a modal where I can enter my credit card information. That information is not stored anywhere on our side, so if you just want to make a one-time purchase, you don't have to worry about anything else being charged to that card or anything down the road, because it's just a one-off charge. Once you do that, your ad will post based on the beginning and end date that are set up here, and it'll bring in all the leads for you. Or rather, it will generate activity that is probably going to be similar to what we've estimated for the ad performance. So there you go. When it comes to just going in, creating an ad quick, that's all there is to it. So we'll go ahead and save and return home on this one. And you can see here it is on the list, and if I were to click payment required, it would take me back into this ad, allow me to run through it and verify everything, so it actually takes me through the whole setup process again if I'd like. And I can just click next if everything's good because it stored all my information. Finish. It'll process it again just like before, and again, at this point I could pay for it, and that would get my ad running. So there you have it. That is how to go in and quickly set up an ad with AdWizard, and then just know that under New Ad, if I were to create a new one, here we are, under Type, there are a wide variety of different types, though new listing is generally the most common. You could also run them for an open house, just a general listing ad, so the listing's not new or anything, it's just an ad, just you want to run an ad for a listing. So you do have a wide variety of options here, and they're all set up in much the same way. So there's your quick rundown. We'll go ahead and cancel that ad. There we go. So there's your quick rundown of AdWizard. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to our support team, and they can help you out with that. And as always, I will see you again next week. Thanks a lot.